Alright, now, we've been experiencing an issue with the Yukon that's gotten progressively worse. I'm going to show you what happens. You go to start the Yukon, let the fuel pump cycle for a minute. We have a check engine light. I have had the codes red. I've had the codes red on that check engine light. What it's saying is the left bank is low and the right bank is low on fuel pressure. So we'll go ahead and check the fuel pressure at the fuel rail and see what's going on. First thing we need to do is check the fuel pressure. In order to get to that, gotta pop this off, undo this bolt here. Pops right out. That gets us into our fuel rail. You got the fuel rail here, fuel rail here. This is where we want. This is the check your pressure port. It's just a little Schrader valve port, fuel pressure port. So I'm gonna go grab my fuel gauge. Then you just get your fuel pressure gauge. Get on that port and you just twist it on. I'm gonna go ahead and start the Yukon to show you. As of right now, there's no fuel pressure, which it's been sitting overnight, so that's pretty much normal. I'm gonna turn on the ignition before starting it and show the fuel. See how the fuel pressure is decreasing? That's usually not a good sign, but let me go ahead and start it up. We'll see what it's holding at. Fuel pressure is holding at 16, which is horrible. Let me go ahead and shut off the truck and you can watch the fuel pressure drop off. It's already dropping that fast. So there's definitely an issue somewhere in the fuel system. It shouldn't lose fuel pressure that quickly. I believe it's going to be in the fuel pump. Now I already changed the fuel filter to see if that could help the fuel pressure. Sitting at 16, 17 when running, it needs to be up in the 50s, at least in the 45, 50 range. Usually, and I think the flex fuels are a little bit higher, but don't quote me on that. Alright, so let's get this thing moved. I know that we have to drop the fuel tank to get to the fuel pump. So we're going to be dropping the fuel tank to get to the fuel pump. I luckily was able to run this thing almost out of gas. That way it won't be that heavy. So we're going to move the vehicle around. We're going to get it situated. And then we'll go ahead and drop this fuel tank. To undo the fuel tank, you come in on the driver's side of the vehicle. All right, come in on the driver's side of the vehicle. Just back here you could see before the suspension, or actually before the rear end, you've got the fuel tank. You see the fuel tank? The fuel tank's very easily held up. Two straps. That is a 15mm bolt. And that's a 15mm bolt. Undo both of those. The strap should disconnect from the other side. I'll show you what I mean. Right here's the strap. So once you unscrew that side, the strap will disconnect and slide out of that bracket that it's sitting in. And then the fuel tank will be free. Thank God it's fairly empty. Actually, I've got the low fuel light on, so that's going to help a lot. If you can see that, there slides out just like that. Same thing on the other side. Now what we need to do is remove the filler tube. There's a vent tube and another vent tube. Those three tubes need to be removed and then the back will drop. Alright, on top of the fuel tank, you'll need to remove the electrical harness. Just a quick snip, and there we go. That's done. And then you just need to remove both these fuel lines. And you squeeze these two tabs on the back side, and wiggle it off. There'll probably be a little bit of fuel. There's a tab here and a tab on the bottom. This one's a little bit of a pain. There we go. So tab here, tab there. There we go. Both lines are disconnected. You're going to have some fuel leakage. Both lines are disconnected. Now we can slide the tank back and drop it down. All right, and there we go. Fuel tank is out. This is our fuel pump. If you look, I still left the really small vent tubes connected. This guy here, he's still connected back there. My fuel lines are in the dirt, lovely. I'll have to make sure I clean those out. All right, so I'll clean out those fuel lines before I connect them. The way you remove this is it's got a metal plate on top. That's this guy right here, metal plate. Okay, so what you need to do is first you gotta make sure this guy's clipped up, which he is. And then the easiest way to do it is take a hammer and just give it a couple little taps and it should twist the plate. In theory. There it goes, and you'll see it, it'll all pop up. And there we go. And that's how you remove that. And then you just pull this whole assembly out of here. Try to keep dirt and yuck from going in. There's the filter right there. So you gotta kind of twist it and you kind of bring up the float. And there's our whole fuel assembly. Alright, when you're ready to put your new one in, just make sure you've got everything assembled properly. Make sure you got your new gasket on there. And then just kind of work it in like you worked the other one out. Let's try to work it out like this. There we go. Now if you notice, it'll sit like this. You have to it's spring loaded to go down. So we'll go ahead and push it down. This is the fun part. Ring on here. And you need to push it down, line everything up. While pushing it down, get it to twist back at least enough to catch. And using the same hammer, and then using the same hammer trick, you twist it back around. I'll let you hit here. Okay. Around, okay? Yeah. Hang on. Hang on. One, two. Alright, now that you got the top pin locked in, I'll need to transfer this pump. Then it come with the little fuel line clippy things. So, just gotta pull them out and hopefully they'll slide off. The little tabs you go over. The little tabs. Everything's freaking tabs. What you have to do is get that little tab up to get it over the little lip. It's just a smaller one. Just like that. Put that one on. Alright, fuel tank's ready to go back in. We'll reconnect everything. Okay, moment of truth. Let's get it started up here. Start it up nice. At service engine soon light. I'm probably gonna have to clear the code by disconnecting the battery. Let's go see if we got better fuel pressure. Oh yeah, I can already see from here. Sitting at about 42. Not bad. A lot better than 16. I attribute some of the gauge being off because, I mean, literally it's a Harbor Freight gauge. So this may be off a little bit.